Yeah, really proud of the team, proud of the staff. We've obviously been in the storm here for the last few weeks with a lot of stuff going on with the roster and having some guys down, but we have 3 goals when the year started, and we were able to check one of those boxes this weekend by beating the team down south, and I thought all 3 phases had their hands in that win. We're still learning, we're still growing as a team, still plenty of things we can get way better at, which is exciting, to have, a month and a half left to still try to get better and see how good we can be. But I just thought the team showed a lot of resilience, a lot of heart, played together, finished the game off. I thought defensively it was our most physical game. I thought Jackson Severs and Jaden Stanley specifically played tremendous. Thought the tackling was the best it's been all year. We still, I think third down, still an issue for us in regards to getting off the field, especially on third and longs. But our ability in the gold zone to hold them to a field goal was really the difference in the game, right? Hold them to a couple of field goals, and I thought our defense did a great job with that. Thought with special teams, we were able to get better with our kickoff and keeping, average starting point was about the 27-yard line, so still not ideal, but way better than it has been. So we're trending, getting better there, which I thought was a good sign. And I thought, our giving up the fake punt is obviously the thing that stands out for us on special teams, but that's a head coaching error, 100% on me. Just from a situational standpoint, should have been more safe, more cautious there. So it doesn't fall on Coach Chapetti. That's on me. But good for us to see that. I think sometimes we don't view ourselves in high regard, but I think the teams that we play do. And so, our opponent on Saturday ran 5 or 6 trick plays and a fake punt, and those are things you're going to do when, you're playing against a good team. And I think sometimes we need to do a better job, me specifically, of seeing how teams view us. But I think offensively, Caden had his best game, did some good things for us, made some great throws, extended some drives. Thought the run game, that was the worst game we had running the ball, just lacked physicality up front. Some of that was some of the shuffling going on, losing Nava in the middle of the game. Jace wasn't really supposed to play, and he gutted it out, so we're a little beat up there. But a lot of guys made some nice plays on the perimeter, Stacy and Zach and Sam and the tight ends, and being able to sustain some drives there in the fourth quarter and put the game away, thought was a great sign. So some good things and some things we got to get better at, but kept the trophy, beat the team down south, accomplished one of our goals, and now we get to play at home on homecoming, hopefully in front of a great crowd against a really good team. So should be a fun week. Yeah, I think the rivalry I've always felt that way about. Whether or not everyone else feels that way, probably year to year with maybe the records and where the teams are at, but don't get it twisted. I mean, this is a contentious relationship between both teams, but like I said, it's built on respect, and they're obviously building a new facility out there that's going to be wonderful, and I think that's part of the growth of the conference, right? Like, we looked at it years ago when Coach Hawk got here, and he deserves all the credit in regards to saying, hey, if we want to be a championship program, we need to build a championship facility and take care of our players like a championship team. And he fought really hard to get that done. And now, the Montanas, and then you look at, okay, now teams like Cal Poly go, geez, we need to improve our situation to make it better. And so I think all that is great for the conference and great for building the environment like that. And I also would say, again, maybe we don't view ourselves the way that people outside view us, but, I know Coach Mike Tomlin for the Steelers, I heard him say once, like, it's a 5-star matchup because the Steelers are playing. And hopefully we've gotten to a point and we keep having success where, it's a big deal because they're playing us, and hopefully that's something we can continue to build where, UC Davis, whenever they go play, teams really, they circle that game like it's going to be a big deal, the same way that the Montanas and all that. And we're still fighting to get to that point, but maybe that's a sign that we're starting to get there. But Cal Poly is a much improved program. Coach Wolf's done a great job. Thought they played really well in all three phases as well, and they gave us everything we could handle. But that's what we expected going into the game. We weren't shocked by how well they played or how close the game was. We knew it was going to be a close one to the end. Yeah, I hope that it goes into your evaluation in the sense of, now that I'm a dad, I think of it this way, like, how are you going to take care of my son or my daughter, right? Like, how are you going to take care of them? How are you going to help them develop to become a better player and a better person? You need a great facility to do that, right? You need to have the type of things that they can use to become better. And so when you have a state-of-the-art weight room and a state-of-the-art athletic training facility, things like this, as a dad, it makes you feel like, oh man, my son or my daughter is going to get great care, great instruction, great development. And sometimes the visual of that is important, you know. And I would still say, when we were lifting over at Hickey Gym, it's still the same amount of weights, right? You're still doing the same stuff, but the visual of what they're able to create for us, and you know, the grass practice field to help guys in regards to training. I think all those things, from a visual, it helps, and it's all comparing, right? Like, if we're trying to beat Fresno State or San Diego State on a recruit, and they're using the argument of, well, we're an FBS team and they're not. Well, if you come to our facility, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like maybe those teams are a little bit behind us, and so then you start to think, well, does it really matter? Like, you know, what's the difference? And I think in college football, there used to be multiple levels, but there's really two levels, right? There's about 20 to 30 teams that are playing a completely different, you know, brand of football, and there's everybody else. So there really is no FBS, FCS anymore. But I think the Big Sky teams that are doing it right have said, hey, we have a chance here to go win some recruiting battles that maybe we hadn't done in the past. Let's make sure we take all the arguments out of it. And now you can't argue against the facilities. You can't argue against the education. You can't argue against the level of football. So why would you not come here? Well, I think he's grown a lot from a decision-making standpoint. You know, not putting the ball in harm's way for the most part, getting out of his hand. I thought he had probably his best performance in regards to making throws from the pocket, checking the ball down when he needed to, made some good deep ball throws. You know, all the creative stuff that he does off platform or off schedule are things that, you know, you don't really coach. So what we've really worked on with him is getting him to understand protections, progressions, his footwork, how he can beat teams from the pocket, how he can beat teams with his mind, and getting out of bad plays, getting us into better plays. That's what great quarterbacks do. If you can do that and you have the element that you can't coach, then you can have nights like you had the other night where, you know, he's making great plays from the pocket, great accurate throws, and then he's got the off-schedule plays where he runs and throws balls out of the pocket, and that makes him difficult to defend, you know, when he's doing stuff like that. So he's still got a long way to go. He's still growing, but I thought he took a big step. And I think whenever you're developing players, you'll kind of watch them. They'll kind of plateau for a while, and then they take a big step. You know, and I thought he took a big step on Saturday, and he'll probably be at that level for a while. And at some point, hopefully, again this year, maybe he takes another step. But was really proud of him. I thought he made some great decisions, and he's a competitor. You know, he wants to win, and you feel like when he's out there, he's going to try to do everything he can to win the game. And I think he's doing a better job of utilizing everyone around him to get that done. Yeah, that's a special throw. He made a similar throw in camp, and it might have been to Zach. I can't remember if it was to Zach, but it was the same pylon route. And you know, we were laughing because like we had that play last year, but we never threw that route. You know, Miles was throwing the sail or checking it down, and that route became more viable this year. So that was an unbelievable throw, and he had a guy in his face. You know, but yeah, that's the number one part of his progression. And a lot of times people can't make that part of it, but he can. So that's a hell of a play. Yeah, I think that's what it shows. I think when the completions start going up to multiple players, it shows that he's doing a good job getting through his progressions. Because, you know, a lot of plays are going to start, you know, and you're going to try and get Sam as the number one guy, or, you know, you're trying to get your best guys as the number one. And so if the ball's not getting spread around, either that guy's dominating like Keelan Doss used to, you know, or you're not getting through your progressions. And So as you start to see the numbers go up on more guys catching the ball and getting involved, it just shows that he's going through his progressions and he's comfortable in the pocket, getting the ball to where it's supposed to go. And as we talk about, we don't design plays for guys. We design plays, and then the ball should go to the open player. And I thought Saturday was his best performance in regards to doing that. Yeah, I don't know about them. I don't want to speak on anything they did, but I was definitely disappointed in Stacy's decision with what he did, but had a long talk with him on the sideline. Was most disappointed about it because, the night before the game, we talked about regulating emotions and how, this was going to be an emotional game, and the goal was to hopefully let your opponent, use their emotions as a negative, which seemed like was happening late in the game as they were getting more frustrated, coaches, players, everybody. And I could hear our guys on the sideline, hey, this is what we talked about. This is perfect. And then for him to make that mistake just went against what we talked about. But again, Stacy's young. He was extremely remorseful. Had a great talk with him on the sideline. That's not what we're about here. But it's football, and things like that will happen. But that's part of the rivalry, and we knew that was going to be that way. You got to be able to regulate your emotions, still play with passion, but let them do things to lose the game, and we'll focus on winning the game. Yeah, I'd say our whole team. This is pretty unprecedented for us as a program in regards to where we're at. But you lose Nava. Not only do you lose a good old lineman, but you're losing one of your leaders. He's on our leadership council. Obviously, an All-American type player. Can't replace guys like that. But I was really fired up for David Main, man. The guy's had a long path coming back from an ACL. Finally gets to start, plays the whole game. Jace was having some trouble during the week. Couldn't really practice. Our hope was to have David play, and hopefully Jace didn't have to go in. He was so beat up, and when Nava went down, Jace was the first guy that was like, I'm fine, I'm going in. And he ended up playing 50 snaps on, in a situation that we really didn't want him to have to do with him. So shows the Aggie pride, shows the toughness of our team. And, we're a team. So as guys continue to fall, it seems to be one of those years, there's, like I told the staff and the team, they're not going to cancel the game. Like, there's still a game on Saturday. So we got to find guys that can play and get those guys ready to play. And, we've trained 100 guys, not 22. So this is a great opportunity for other guys to step up and play. And that's a joyful moment when you see guys go in. The first play of the game, Jackson Sievers just completely rocks the tailback with perfect tackling technique. And, I was hearing from people last week, like, well, if you don't have the twins, good luck next year kind of thing. And then Jackson's out there playing great, and Jaden Stanley's out there playing great, and Cole Batson's out there playing great. So just gives guys more opportunities, and that's what your job is as a coach. Get everybody ready to play, not just 22 guys, even though players like that are tremendous and you can't really replace them. You just try to grow new ones, So I was proud of a lot of those guys. Yeah, Drew's fine, going to play this week. I think, again, he's 18 years old. He's probably played more football than he's ever played in his life. So some of that is us trying to give him some rest. Some of that is just, a young guy hitting kind of that wall at some point. But Drew's a competitor, man, a relentless competitor. So he could be out there if we needed him. We're trying to get him some rest, but he'll be good to go this week. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Coach Wright. Got a chance to meet him. We were the two new coaches last year, so I got a chance to spend some time, just me and him, when we were at the Big Sky meetings. And I got to know him and his past and what he's been able to accomplish. I think he does a tremendous job. You look at their offense led by their quarterback, who's a great player, and a bunch of skill guys, physical team. Defensively, I was just looking, they've played 10 Big Sky games since they've got there, and they've only allowed 18 points a game over those 10 games. A very exotic defense that does some wild stuff, really difficult to prepare for, very aggressive, got a lot of talent, and they're very sound on special teams units. So not surprised they were a playoff team a year ago, trending that way again. So this will be a very, very difficult challenge for us. Lucky that we're playing at home because playing there is very difficult from my time coaching there. It's a tough place to play. So this will be as difficult of a game as we've had here in a long time. So looking forward to the challenge for sure. Yeah, I mean, my first son was born there, Jackson, and so I always think about that. And probably the big things that come to mind was you make a lifelong friend like Andy Thompson. You get to really see another great young coach, and you're kind of growing with him and learning at practice and testing each other and challenging each other, and it's raising your level of coaching. We were really fortunate. We happened to hit kind of the jackpot when I was there offensively with talent. So we had the number one offense, I think, in the country 3 years in a row, or at least close to it. Case Cook is who my wife and I would think of like a son. I mean, he's still playing professional football. Emmanuel Butler, who's still playing professional football. Elijah Marks, Bryant O'Georgia, Casey Yon, R.J. Rickert. I mean, these are some of the all-time great Big Sky players. I think Case Cookus might be second all-time in passing. But I probably think of the Case Cookus story the most in regards to recruiting. I tell guys a lot about, we didn't have a quarterback, and I was taken over as coordinator. And I had kind of, sprung from the nest here. It was the first time I get to kind of run my own offense without Bob. And, hey, we're going to try some different things that I'd wanted to try, no huddle, RPOs, those kind of things. We don't have a quarterback, and the head coach, Coach Sowers, who was the all-time winningest Big Sky head coach until Coach Hauk, basically said, hey, you got to go find a quarterback. So we had a transfer who was a big-time high school recruit from Arizona, was transferring from Arizona to NAU, and at the last minute he had signed a letter of intent and everything, but last minute decided to change his mind and go to Virginia. This is like early June. So we ended up having a camp where Andy Thompson, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have a quarterback. He's like, let's just have all the junior colleges send their quarterbacks up to our summer camp. And so we called all the JCs and, hey, if you have a quarterback that you think can play, send him up to our camp. Had about a dozen guys come up. One of them was just skinny, goofy kid. And he hadn't played. I think he won 6 games in high school. And grew 3 inches from his senior year of high school to the end of his freshman year at the junior college. Didn't play the first year. Hadn't played a snap of college football. Showed up to our camp, and it was like, the heavens singing and like the light shining down. And you're like, what is going on with this guy? And he was the fastest kid in camp, and he's just throwing laser beams across the field. And I'm watching him throw, and he's throwing with no laces. And I go up, and I'm like, hey, are you throwing without the laces? He goes, yeah, I don't use the laces. And it was just one of those crazy days, just watching him work out and throw the football. And I thought I was seeing things. Like, this can't be real. Had to convince the head coach that he was our guy. This guy has not played college football. This guy won 6 games in high school and threw more interceptions than touchdowns. You're telling me this is the guy? And this is the guy I want to coach. And I remember we offered him a scholarship, and his dad was like, are you serious? And
Thanks, Dad.
so he showed up a month later, threw 45 touchdowns, 6 picks, and won the Jerry Rice Award, and is one of, if not the greatest quarterback to play in history of the Big Sky. So I only got to coach Case for 15 games because he broke his collarbone his second year. And in those 15 games, he threw 60 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And is still one of the greatest players I've ever coached. And so I just think about the time I got to spend with him. But I also was the receiver coach for 1 year, and I recruited Emmanuel Butler and Elijah Marks and Bryant O'Georgia, and coaching those guys. And Elijah, having to sleep at our house in the summertime because you got nowhere to go, and just Emmanuel and him growing into the player he became. We had some special games. So it was a really fun time. It was really hard to leave. I remember leaving, thinking I'm leaving the number 1 offense in the country. All those guys are coming back, and everyone thought I was crazy. But that was really, really hard. But still talked to those guys and loved those guys a lot. And loved Flagstaff, loved NAU. My wife and I still think very fondly of that place. So we've always been Lumberjack fans when they're not playing the Aggies. Yeah, I think he's super talented, able to get the ball out on time, very accurate, has a great understanding, obviously, of what coach wants to do offensively there, can extend plays. He's a good athlete, tough. I think he's a typical Big Sky quarterback. I mean, these guys over every year, it seems like there's 2 or 3 guys, and he's definitely one of, if not the best in the conference right now. So it'll be a great challenge to stop a guy like that. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty tremendous situation to win that. That's not, 9 years in a row now that we've kept that trophy, and we just talked to the guys about, hey, if one day a year for 60 minutes, someone's going to take that trophy away from you, and you got 60 minutes to get it back. And we really, really value and treasure that, and we want to keep that every year. And I think just what we've been through with the guys that can't play, and a lot of people doubting what we're going to be able to do now, and for them to win that game, and so that's a long trip back. A lot of guys going back with families, some guys on the bus, or if you're like me and you're driving your family back in a car and your wife's making you listen to the new Taylor Swift album the whole way back. That win makes it a lot more enjoyable, for sure. Yeah, I think Carter's obviously starting to grow into the player that we expected him to be. Had some things I know that he wants back from Saturday, but not the first time you got a young guy playing in front of his home, and he wants to show out, and I bet he would say too that he probably overdid it a little bit, probably put too much pressure on himself, but makes a tremendous touchdown run at the end of the game. And a lot of the stuff that doesn't show up with Carter Vargas is that he is one of the best pass-protecting running backs we've had here in a long time. He is an elite pass protector and had multiple plays where he did a great job. 4th and 1 play that we throw to Mitch, Carter does a great job in pass protection. So he's going to continue to grow to be the player that we know he can be, which I think he can be one of the best to ever play here. But the exciting thing is he's got a long way to go. So as good as he's been, I still think there's a lot left in there, which is fun for us to coach and see him grow.